When you know
that's thick.
There's too much fucking paint on the job. Look at that. Look at that for a paint run. It's like the tide's coming in. Hey guys, so today we've got in a C63 AMG that's previously been painted by another garage, and it is actually that bad that we are having to paint stripper some of the panels because there's just way too much material on, and not in any kind of good way either. So we're going to completely strip the car down, paint stripper the bonnet, front wings, doors, stuff that the other garage has done. Rectify a few faults on the rest of the car and talk you through the process a bit. You struggle to see it on the video, but we've got more flaking paint on the side skirts where they haven't been prepped correctly into the edge, haven't been masked correctly, and they certainly haven't been removed to paint them previously. So that's another job to rectify. Right, so we're going to apply Nitramorse to the bonnet and cover it over with plastic sheet. So the Nitramorse has to work on the paint as opposed to drying out and evaporating.
I'm holding on, if all was gone. Someday I know I'll finally make it through the gates. Just have to wait. You whisper to me there's no maybe. There's only time for dreams even greater. I hear the call.
Strong, really. And the drivers, that's good, mate.
Unbelievable.
The yellow brick road.
And that's only down to that's the factory paint, not down to the aluminium. That's how much fucking base coat they put on it trying to get the silver on even. What a mess. So we decided to weigh the paint just to see how much paint was actually on the bonnet. 800 grams in it. Nearly a kilo of paint on the bonnet, just in the base coat. So a lot of the problems are down to bad prep, and there being way too much material on the car. You know, when there's too much material on the car, it has a tendency to flake and chip a lot worse than when it's the correct density. So, you know, this is all chipping off around here, you know, and you've got runs hanging off the end of these panels here, chips out of it here. It's chipping quite badly around these sections. Some damage on the rear quarter. Obviously that's not the fault of the last person who painted it. Then you've got, I don't know if you can see that, but you've got crazing and reactions in the paint there. Bad flaking of the paint around the edges where it hasn't been keyed properly. The badges had been stuck on with sealer instead of double-sided tape. More paint reaction down these edges. A lot more of the same on the other wing, and then oh dear! I mean the lacquer on these side skirts. See if you can see that. Look at that for a paint run. It's like the tide's coming in. I mean, who on earth paints something like that? Actually has the nerve to send it back to the customer on any car, you know. Never mind a bloody C63. This one's run pretty much from one end to the other. You've got literally on these two side skirts, you've got 4 meters of paint run. And then on the quarter panel, where they haven't removed the bumper to do the respray, they've actually joined the bumper and the quarter panel together with the paint. Always a nice touch. Time to have a look at this nasty dent on the arch where someone's reversed into it. Going to use a slide hammer to pull the double skins out, and then a pin puller to address the smaller dents that you can't get to from the inside. So there you go, you can see that's pulled out nice and smooth, so not much filler required in that now, which is obviously optimum for the repair. Next job, customer has asked us to remove the number plate holes where it's had some riv nut fixings in before. They want to put a smaller number plate on it, so we're going to actually cone cut those out to give a nice clean hole and then weld them up. So we're just getting the worst of the paint off the front bumper. Had to actually remove the parking sensors because they were sealed to the bumper. So we're going to clean those up and then rebond them just before it's painted. Holes in the tailgate now gone. Repair done on the arch. A little dent just above the petrol cap. Those will be polyester primered because polyester doesn't sink, and then everything else will be epoxy primered, which is typically what's used for restoration purposes. Add the polyester primer on it, which is basically like a spray filler, which is now in the process of being blocked down. We put some black base on it to check that it's all nice and straight. Polyester on the boot recess where the customer asked for the holes to be filled in. All the panels in the booth. The bonnet now with a coat of primer on it, ready to be flatted off before paint. These panels are going to have epoxy primer on, which is a resin-based primer. So that'll everything that was flaking or a run or chips or anything that was done incorrectly has been addressed on these, and they're going to be all sealed in with the epoxy. It's rock hard. It's just leagues ahead of 2-pack primer, which is what a lot of sort of insurance-based run-of-the-mill shops are using. So that should give us a really good solid base to work off. No volt epoxy primer used in a lot of classic restorations. If you know, you know. So yeah, as you can see, we've started the preparation process, blocking the car down. Well, blocking the primer down, the epoxy primer that we've put on the car with 320 grade Abranet pads, which, as you can see on there, they're sort of like a mesh sandpaper, so they don't clog up so easily. They just give a better cut in the same grade. This is charcoal guide coat, which helps you see where you've sanded to. So we're just going through the process of trying to get all the panels now nice and straight, and then finally finished off in 500 grade on a DA with a soft pad. And that is certainly a smooth enough grade then to put the silver base coat over. So the car is now prepped up. We've prepped the wings and the body, so that's ready to to have the base and lacquer applied to it. We'll leave the bumpers and the bonnet and the bits and pieces till afterwards, so the car will be baked and dry, and the pieces don't have to stand around painted in the workshop. They can be sort of fitted straight up. Well, once they're properly cured anyway. Next stage is to make it shiny. So it's now 2 days after respraying the car, and all the panels are in prep, so that gives you kind of an idea of how long it takes. This is day 9 on the job with 2 men on it full time. So see, we get, you know, quite a lot of the time when you price people on a job, they're like, really, that much? And you're like, well, that's, you know, that is how much it costs to do the job correctly. So this is 9 days into this job so far. And all the panels are ready to have the final coating on, and then hopefully we can fit it up and send it back to the customer looking like brand new.
Love you with all of my heart, makes me tremble within. Love the smell of your hair, I'm here in my bed. Without your love, I am out of place, and without you, I am just a trace. I wanna be with you always, 'cause that is what my heart says.
So it's time to build the car up now. Got some carbon bits and pieces that have got to be fitted from a local supplier. To say they don't fit is an understatement, really. So we've got to make these fit. But yeah, they should look quite well once they've been adapted to fit the car correctly. So yeah, time to get busy. The rear diffuser is now fitted. It took a lot longer than expected because it needed quite a bit of modification to make it actually fit the bumper in a manner that was satisfactory. To be honest, I would still say I'm not 100% satisfied with it, but the customer's been in and had a look at it, and he says I'm being over fussy, but what should take probably under 5 minutes to put on took nearly 2 hours. But as you can see, it's the rear end starting to come together now. So the C63 refurb is nearing completion. Skipped a couple of days of filming the build up because it's not the most exciting thing in the world watching clips and bits of plastic being put back together. There's been a few bits that are slightly more challenging than that, but I'll talk you through them as we do a walk round of the car. Just in the final stages of clean up now, and then yeah, I think we're ready to show you the final result. So here we are, final results on the C63. We've got Alex over here taking some pictures which are available to the customer on a dongle or on prints. We put the carbon fibre pods back on the front bumper for him. All the black redone, either wrapped or repainted, depending on whether it was chrome or not. Chromes have to be wrapped. The paint doesn't really stick too well to plastic chrome. New mirror covers fitted, full carbon. New carbon whale tail, well duck tail I suppose you'd call it, not a whale tail, fitted. Carbon diffuser now, which was, like the rest of the carbon, quite hard work to fit, but I had to fabricate some brackets for that as well, because I mean it's just got nothing that holds it to the underside of the car. Parachute effect would probably pull that off, in all honesty, if you didn't fabricate any brackets for it. We've applied a ceramic coating to the car for a finish, so we've left it sort of a week between painting before we've put any kind of polish on top of it. You've got to let the solvent breathe well. Freshly powder coated wheels with diamond cut edges. Nice little clean up on the inside. All looking fresh. Heart of the beast. Little clean up in the engine bay as well. Not really a fan of all the silicone sort of finishes, so we just sort of give everything a good clean. I'm sort of have the tendency to think, you know, that the matte the plastics come with originally is the classier finish to the car. So there you go. That has been our C63 refurb. In total it's taken 2 men approximately 3 weeks to bring this car back to its former glory.
Happy? Dave's the man.
Job done. Happy customer.